Good morning. It's Monday, May 19th. I'm Linda Ward. Heather's away. Here's what's making news right now. Joe Biden receives a life-changing diagnosis. His office reveals the former U.S. president has aggressive prostate cancer.
There are some people that do well and some people that don't do well.
What a treatment plan could look like and reaction to the diagnosis. High-stakes call. U.S. President Donald Trump is set to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. Trump says he plans to ask Putin to stop the bloodbath in Ukraine. Israel ramps up airstrikes and expands its ground campaign in Gaza. The latest on the mounting casualties as Israel attempts to apply pressure on Hamas during ceasefire negotiations. But we begin with the latest on the health of former U.S. President Joe Biden. He's been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. A statement from Biden's office says he and his family are reviewing treatment options. The former president received the news on Friday after he saw a doctor last week for urinary symptoms. The disease has long been a personal issue for Biden. His son, Beau, died of brain cancer in 2015. Biden also led a White House task force aimed at curing cancer during his time as vice president. Steve Futterman leads off our coverage this morning, joining us from Los Angeles. Steve, what more can you tell us about Biden's diagnosis and some of the reaction that we're seeing to it? And Steve, we did spend a lot of time talking about Biden's health, which became a major concern among voters, especially as he neared the end of his presidential term.
That's right. And in fact, you may remember.
I'll speak with Dr. Christopher Labos about Biden's diagnosis and the signs that men should watch out for when it comes to prostate cancer. We'll have that conversation. That's coming up around 10:20 Eastern Time.
We're going to take you to Inspiration Studio. Now, that's a Toronto pottery studio that's focusing on helping people craft new futures, if I can put it that way to you, Linda.
Very well
Linda
put.
Ward is here with us, and she's going to take us to Inspiration Studio with this story. It's a fantastic one.
Yeah, it is. It's been running for more than 30 years, but not a lot of people in Toronto actually know about it. It started out as a City of Toronto-run program, and for the last couple of years, it's been run by the YWCA Toronto. Now, I found out about it. I'm going to show you this mug here. This was a Kris Kringle gift that I received from a colleague here at CBC Toronto last year, and it came with one of these little brochures in it. So of course I look at it and I thought, what is this about? And so this is a pottery program that is aimed at marginalized women. Hello, I'm Linda Ward. This is CBC News Network, and we begin with breaking news, a bombshell announcement from U.S. President Joe Biden. He is stepping aside as the Democratic nominee for November's election. The news came in an online post just minutes ago. Here's his one-page statement. Biden says he believes, quote, "It is in the best interest of the party and the country for him to step down and concentrate on fulfilling his duties as president for the rest of his term." That runs until January 20th next year. He says he will address the nation about his decision in the coming days. We're going to now bring in Chris Galdieri. He is a professor of political science at St. Anselm College. We've reached him in Concord, New Hampshire. Thanks, as always, for making the time and on such a bombshell that has dropped here with this breaking news. What's your reaction?
Well, first, I mean, this is just an absolutely extraordinary moment.
What does he need to say in that address in order to repair some of the damage really that's been done to the party over the last few weeks since that debate, and to bring back people to the Democratic Party? What do you think? I want to pick up on something that you said earlier there, Adrian, about the possibility of two women on the ticket there, and going forward, we were hearing from one of our guests earlier about some of the difficulties that the Trump campaign has had when they've had to go up against women going forward. So no doubt there's a lot of talk going on behind the scenes right now on the Republican side as well about next steps and how do we move forward and how do we keep the momentum, because realistically they've had so much momentum over the last little while. I mean, I'm wondering what you think about, sort of what is going on behind the scenes now on that side of the aisle.
On the Republican side, I would say, basically all we have to judge on is what we saw at the RNC.
Linda, you've been speaking with CUPE members as well as passengers as this day continues, that deadline approaching. What are you hearing?
Yes, we get closer to that 2 p.m. Eastern deadline. These flight attendants were expected to go back to work, but they're saying they will not be going back to work. They will remain here on the picket line, despite the federal government using Section 107 to issue an order for binding arbitration and the CIRB directing them to go back to work. They say they will defy that order. That announcement came from a rally earlier today where we heard CUPE union leadership rile up the crowd and tell them that they weren't going to go back until they were ready.
Talk to us about the situation, the predicament that travelers find themselves in now.
Well, let's go inside the terminal so you can get a sense for yourself of what we're looking at in here, because what I can tell you is essentially that there are people who have been stuck here for days, Eli. There are people who heard flights might be resuming this evening, and they came here. You can see them all over here, lining up here, asking Air Canada if they will be able to get on a plane, when they'll be able to get on a plane.
Linda Ward is here with us. Linda's just joined our team on a regular basis this week, and it's great to have you as part of Morning Live's family. Linda's been working with us on and on for many, many years, but also in different capacities as a reporter for different programs at CBC. And that's what led you to Miss Angela.
Yeah, I was working over at CBC Toronto Local and got an assignment back in 2016. So this is going
We're talking
way
7
back.
years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sent me out to cover a safe walk program that was going on in the Mornell Court community in Scarborough, so the east end of the city of Toronto. And what Miss Angela Brackett is her full name. We all know her as Miss Angela now. What she was doing is a walking school bus is how I can describe it. Maui is grappling with the aftermath of the devastating wildfire that swept through a historic town there. 93 people are now confirmed dead. Aerial video shows the smoldering ruins left behind. Neighborhoods and businesses have been demolished. Thousands have been left homeless. In all, more than 2,000 buildings and other structures have been damaged or destroyed, while about 878 hectares have been reduced to ashes. Hello, I'm Linda Ward. This is CBC News Network. Workers still face the enormous task of combing through the vast areas of charred rubble, and it's extremely difficult to identify the dead. CBC's Magda Gabrisalasa has more on the recovery efforts.
Crews are finding more wildfire victims in Lahaina.
And so you got much further away, and I can see Mom Mindy there beside you getting emotional. When you're hearing this is going on, you jumped on a plane.
I did. I was actually on the phone with her because we'd been talking back and forth.
I'm so sorry for this, and I'm so glad that you were able to make it out safely. But I know there's so much more that needs to be done now. You were able to get a glimpse of the devastation? Were you able to get a glimpse of the need and what needs to be done now to help the people of Lahaina?
Yeah.
Is there any scenario, though, where you could see, and we heard David Hurley speaking about this earlier, some of the parties that have said that they would bring down the government at the earliest possible opportunity, perhaps decide not to do that because of, maybe not wanting to give the Conservatives a win?
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
So I take it you don't think he's going to move on those conditions that he's proposed for a potential ceasefire in any new ceasefire proposal that he pens. So then what is his strategy here?
Well, his strategy is any peace that he wants leaves Ukraine in pieces.
Vanetta there says that the food is actually much better. And Mark Anthony says, that this really means that he is not going to bed hungry at night, which he says is the grim reality that many people are dealing with. So he would like to see more of these open up. The Trois Paniers folks say that they have seen other people mimic this model.
Yes.
They're not upset about that. They think that's great. They had about 20,000 transactions last year. They just had their biggest day last week, $5,700 in one day. They do a lot of other work in the community as well. So paying it forward.
That's just fantastic. Linda, your stories the last couple of days have been exceptional.